All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's Thursday, September the 28th, the year 2017. We are going to work our way through this Gay Turds, Bill Fulton's book, as best as we can. This is part 4 of a series, and I don't know how long it will go. What have we learned so far? We've learned that Bill Fulton is a gay turd deserving of the death penalty once he's convicted in a court of law for the treasonous acts that he has done and also sending an innocent man to prison. On page 156, Bill Fulton brags about wanting to utterly destroy Schaefer and says that it's personal. Let me read exactly what Bill Fulton wrote on page 156. At the very least, we could buy time, but I wanted to utterly destroy him as a player. Let me read that again. But I wanted to utterly destroy him as a player. I'd had enough of this guy. I guess I did have something personal at stake. When did FBI informants get to act out their personal vendettas against who they don't like personally? And I'm going to read to you something later about Bill Fulton protecting Brian Beasley, who's also known as Aaron Bennett. So we learned that we have a gay turd, raging homosexual faggot named Bill Fulton, who's acting out personal vendettas against Christianity and Schaefer Cox in particular. We've learned that there were recordings made of audio, and Aaron Bennett told me there was video of Blondie's event. So not only do we have Pike's Landing and Blondie's being recorded, we know that the FBI had the recording of Pike's Landing for over a year, and then all of a sudden it got destroyed. Why would they destroy a recording that they claim was the main event where Schaefer supposedly is talking about planning to arrest and kill judges? Yet both of those recordings from Pike's Landing and Blondie's have disappeared. Schaefer's legal team never got to see them. We know that Scrocky told the jury that there were no death threats from Aaron Bennett or Bill Fulton, but Bill Fulton in his own book writes about Aaron Bennett wanting to put a bullet in Schaefer Cox's head, and Bill Fulton said that, go for it, dude. So Scrocky lied to the jury and trashed the recordings. We have account after account of the FBI using CIA tactics to trash and disrupt and to disturb the fair electoral process going on in Alaska. And that they disrupted Joe Miller and Schaefer Cox's rise to political aspirations, and they did it through the actions of the gay turd Bill Fulton. So I just talked to you guys about, on page 156, Bill Fulton says, I guess I did have something personal at stake. So he wants to personally destroy Schaefer Cox, who embodies biblical and constitutional values. And if I can find the place, I want to read to you how he's going to protect his lover friend, Brian Beasley, who is also known as Aaron Bennett. I'm going to find it here. It's going to take me a little bit of time. This might be it. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So this is what I call the Millennium Hotel event. And we've got Bill Fulton in a Millennial Hotel with these FBI agents, Sandra Klein and Derek Espelin, sitting in the next room, and they've got video and audio, and they're feeding everybody fancy food, and everybody's getting drunk. Matter of fact, on page 194, Bill Fulton writes, it wasn't long before everyone was drunk. Everyone in this case is Bill Fulton, Aaron Bennett, Gerald J.R. Olson, and Lonnie Vernon. Okay? Lonnie Vernon's like the only guy who's not working for the government, by the way. And Bill Fulton just admitted that Lonnie Vernon was drunk. Well, in the In the trial, Scrocky argued that Lonnie Vernon was at the Millennium Hotel to carry out the business of Schaefer Cox. How could he be carrying out the business of Schaefer Cox if he's drunk? Bill Fulton Wright said everyone was drunk. So anything that Lonnie says should not be interpreted in the light of carrying out business for Schaefer Cox. Lonnie's acting on his own drunken behalf. And I don't think Lonnie Vernon did anything wrong anyway. Lonnie Vernon might have asked for pineapple grenades, but those are dummy grenades. Every redneck in Texas has one from their Army-Navy store. Bill Fulton is living out a fantasy, and I'm going to prove that to you as well. But remember when I said that Bill Fulton said that he had a personal vendetta against Schaefer Cox and he's on a crusade to eliminate Christianity because he's a gay fag and he hates Christian values? So let's read what he writes about Brian, who he actually cares deeply about. And he writes about his muscular frame and the sunlight bouncing off the muscular frame of Brian Beasley, who's really Aaron Bennett. So here's what page 195, Bill Fulton writes, I'm going to just say Aaron Bennett because Brian is really Aaron. I couldn't let Aaron Bennett be here for this. He was my friend. Not like these guys. Let me read that again. I couldn't let Aaron Bennett be here for this. He was my friend. Not like these guys. I had to get him out of the room before he said something dumb or potentially incriminating and got caught up in the net. I didn't even know what it would be, but I knew everything was on audio and video. I knew I was taking risk in one way, but at least I knew the FBI wasn't going to arrest me. But Brian had no deal, and one stupid, unthinking remark could get him in some major hot water. If the FBI got pissed off at me for ditching Aaron Bennett, then that's the way it was. I didn't care. I was a volunteer. What were they going to do? And then he writes about how he got in a fake argument with Aaron Bennett and made him leave the room, and he said he would apologize tomorrow and said he had too much to drink. So how would you like it if you got a gay turd FBI informant that's operating on personal vendettas, and he's targeting some people, but other people he decides to protect at his own whim? Is that the kind of government that you want? Did you know that Jack Ryan, who is the FBI agent in the case of Leonard Peltier, has came out and admitted that the main function of the FBI is to squelch political dissent. He's just admitted it. There's a video of him saying that, and that's exactly what is happening here. All right, so I hope I've made it clear to you from the writings that we have this gay turd, Bill Fulton. He's got personal vendettas against Schaefer Cox for his Christian and constitutional values, and yet he's going to protect Aaron Bennett. All right. Let me go to some other notes here. On page 157, 158, and 159. All of those pages, if you read what happened at Blondie's, it's very apparent that Bill Fulton instilled fear in Schaefer Cox. He just came unglued, and FBI agents are supposed to be there to monitor, not to instill fear and make death threats. Let me read to you Bill Fulton's own writing. Starting at the bottom of page 158. Zerby, engulfed in the darkness, backed out the side entrance. A motorcycle engine rumbled, and the tires spun through the gravel as he sped out of the lot. Cox had literally backed himself into the corner and was white as ash. Keep in mind that Scrocky told the jury, "You'll never hear of any threats from Bill Fulton or Aaron Bennett." Yet a few pages ago, we just read where Aaron Bennett was telling Bill Fulton that he wanted to put a bullet in Schaefer Cox's head. His backup was gone. Les Zerby took off. Brian, Aaron Bennett, had relaxed his grip, and I wheeled to face Cox, calmer now, but still bristling. And you listen to me, you little shitbag. I've seen you pull up this crap too many times. Your word and your promises and your plans mean jack fucking shit. Don't ever fucking call me again, ever. If shit goes down and someone in the room needs me, I'm there. But I'm taking orders from Brian, and Brian only. Keep in mind, Brian is Aaron Bennett. Let me read that with the proper name. This is Bill Fulton yelling at Schaefer Cox in a room full of people. But I'm taking orders from Aaron Bennett, and Aaron Bennett only, not from you. You little punk-ass motherfucker! Now, is that the actions of an FBI informant calling Schaefer Cox a punk-ass motherfucker, threatening him his life? And he keep in mind, it's not an insignificant thing. He said, I'm taking orders from Aaron Bennett and Aaron Bennett only. And only a few pages earlier, Aaron Bennett said he wanted to put a bullet in Schaefer Cox's head. Is that the kind of FBI agents you want patrolling your streets, making your city safe? I'm going to read that again. Ever, if shit goes down and someone in this room needs me, I'm there. But I'm taking orders from Aaron Bennett and Aaron Bennett only, not from you, you little punk-ass motherfucker. I was about 8 inches from his face, finger in his chest, when he sidestepped and moved silently, trying not to run to the door, and backed out with an awkward nod, adjusting his cap in a last attempt at dignity. Now, Scrocky is a bold-faced liar deserving of a hot spot in hell. Scrocky told the jury that Bill Fulton never threatened Schaefer Cox. He told the jury that Aaron Bennett never threatened Schaefer Cox, and Bill Fulton brags about it in this book. There was absolute silence in the room. What the fuck, dude? I never saw you go off like that, man. Holy fucking shit. Aaron Bennett's laugh broke through the tension, remind me to never question your loyalty, bro. He slapped me on the back, still laughing. The rest of the room visibly relaxed, and I had gained a new respect. In the testosterone power play, I can give as good as the next guy, and right now I was alpha dog, and Schaefer Cox and Les Zerbe were off somewhere like whimpering chihuahuas with their tail between their legs. I fucking hate that guy, Bill Fulton said, in case anyone missed it, and drained the last of my six Heineken. That's another beer that he's drinking. What a weak-ass, self-serving little prick. You know he was ready to drag you guys into a fucking war because he hit his wife and didn't want to man up to it? That's his fucking problem, not yours, I said to the room in general. I began to calm down now that I realized it had worked and the balance of power had now shifted from Cox to Aaron Bennett. You know, this is a homosexual power play, domination, and it's being done to subvert an electoral process going on in this country because Schaefer Cox was rising to political power in Alaska, and you got the FBI sending in this kind of crap, this kind of garbage that deserves some of the hottest spots in hell. When hell splits wide open, when Scrocky and Bill Fulton enter, the devil's going to have to, go give up some of the hottest spots because Scrocky and Bill Fulton will be consuming those spots for all of eternity. And I'm going to be one of the ones yelling out vengeance. Scrocky's a damn liar for telling the jury that Schaefer was never threatened. Bill Fulton's a damn liar and a gay turd at that. Let's go on. So I hope you guys didn't miss that Bill Fulton said he's taken orders from Aaron Bennett, and Aaron Bennett is the one who wanted to put a bullet in Schaefer's head. On page 161, it talks about Sandra Klein's report for the Blondies event, and yet I was told that Schaefer Cox's legal team never got that report. That's Brady violation, and that's destroying exculpatory evidence. Bottini is it's the Bottini playbook exactly. If there's any evidence that would have played in favor of the defendant, destroy it and don't give it to the legal defense team. Sandra Klein knows that she had that report, and yet they never gave it over. All of the people involved from the FBI and the Department of Justice should be put in jail for the rest of their lives, and some of them should be put to death. Page 163, it talks about how Bill Fulton was too hungover to even drive the next day. And then he describes his domestic bliss as he went to his faggot workplace, the drop zone. On page 164, Bill Fulton brags about bashing a naked man's head through a wall. One of his workers brags about bashing a naked man's head through a wall and not letting him get any clothes on before they take him down to sit at the curb in front of the police station. This is typical homosexual domination that Bill Fulton is obsessed with. It's very likely, given the things described in this book and what gets off Bill Fulton, that he was part of the child molester ring in Anchorage, Alaska, because of his domination and faggot behaviors. Many times, the FBI, on I think it was page 167, tell Bill Fulton to go make amends with Schaefer Cox so he could get closer to Schaefer Cox. But Schaefer was terrified of Bill Fulton because of all the things that had happened at Pike's Landing and Blondie's. And they wanted to... Schaefer was concerned that they were going to try to kill him and make it look like the feds did it. On page 169, let me jump there real quick. Bill Fulton, at somewhere, might have been a little bit later. Oh, yeah, it's page 178. Page 178, Bill Fulton writes that he was worried about Democratic operatives plotting to cause a ruckus at one of Joe Miller's events to make Miller look bad. But this is exactly what Bill Fulton did, and admits that he himself was an undercover left-wing operative doing just that. So it's like he acts like he's trying to protect Miller so that no Democratic operatives, that's Bill Fulton's words on page 178, would make Miller look bad. But that's exactly what Bill Fulton does and brags about it when he arrested Hopfinger. On page 183 and 184, it talks about how Bill Fulton loves Rachel Maddow. That should speak volumes in and of itself. I mean, anybody who loves Rachel Maddow's got some serious problems. We need to investigate this Alaska Dispatch News. I think Bill Allen had part ownership in Anchorage Daily News, and we know that Bill Allen was a procurer of what he referred to as pets. Kids that would be sexually abused at the Ocean View house, and Schaefer was exposing that. Go through my notes here. Yeah, page 178, it talks about how Bill Fulton is trying to protect Joe Miller from left-wing Democratic operatives, but that's exactly what Bill Fulton was. On page 180, Bill Fulton writes, "Physical assaults were absolutely not tolerated." Is that the most ironic, hypocritical thing you've ever heard? There's a sentence on page 180, and Bill Fulton writes, "Physical assaults were absolutely not tolerated." Do you think some of his book will be played back to him in hell as he's getting the crap beat out of him for the rest of eternity? Physical assaults will absolutely not be tolerated. That's a joke coming from Bill Fulton. We need to investigate this Alaska Dispatch News Anchorage Daily News, Tony Hopfinger, and Bill Fulton. It seems they all ran around in the child abuser sex circles. That's going to require some investigative work. On page 186, thereabouts, Bill Fulton gloats how he and his FBI pals used CIA tactics to disrupt an election on American soil. This is illegal. That is what intelligence services do to rig political processes in banana republics. That's immoral, but to do it on American soil for American elections is worthy of prosecution and a long prison sentence. And in my opinion, it's treasonous and deserving of the death penalty. On page 193, that's a case of libel for Schaefer. Bill Fulton puts a quote, and it's at the very beginning of the chapter, and it says, Bill Fulton claims that Schaefer said, "Power comes from the barrel of a gun." Schaefer has written me about that, and I said, "Did you say that power comes from the barrel of a gun?" Schaefer wrote that, Schaefer said, "Power comes from the barrel of a gun," quoting Mao, as a way to point out that the evil of the people who lived by might makes right. This is libel from Bill Fulton and Jeannie Devon. So are all the other supposed quotes by me. So Bill Fulton is just doubling down on the lies. Jeannie Devon has got caught up in it, and Scrocky has lied more times than you can imagine regarding the federal hit list that did not exist, and his lies about Schaefer Cox being planning to murder federal officials, and his destroying of the exculpatory evidence. It's very likely they were involved in the murder of Senator Ted Stevens as well, in my opinion. On page 193, Bill Fulton describes the Millennial Hotel in his words, "It was a first-rate spy thriller stuff." This is a homosexual fantasy, as if he's a 007 James Bond kind of guy, and he's operating this fantasy in his head, Bill Fulton is, and he's, got personal vendettas against Schaefer, and he obviously doesn't like Lonnie. And he admits that Lonnie was drunk in the hotel room, so Lonnie should not be held responsible for carrying out Schaefer Cox's business. He shouldn't be held responsible for anything, in my opinion. If an FBI gets you totally drunk, page 194 is where he admits that everybody was drunk, including Lonnie Vernon. I've already read to you guys how he tried to protect Brian because Brian would be Aaron Bennett. On page 197, you've got Bill Fulton saying, "So Schaefer is thinking this: if we cut the main electrical lines to a house, then the target is going to come out to see what's going on, right? And that's when we snipe him. If we've got a suppressor, then nobody's going to pay no attention, right? Because even if you hear it, it doesn't sound like a shot. And then we torch the place, boards across the doors and windows real fast, and torch it." Okay, there's no audio whatsoever of Schaefer saying that. Bill Fulton is just outright lying. There's no audio of Schaefer saying, "if we cut the main electrical lines to a house." It's just drunken Bill Fulton lie. And he brags about not doing what the FBI told him to do, and he's going to call his own shots. Bill Fulton was a loose cannon operating on his own. He had personal vendettas. He's lying about what Schaefer said in his book. And in regards to the sniper that Schaefer was looking at, did you guys listen very carefully to what I'm about to say? It's not illegal to shop for a silencer. If I talk to somebody about buying a silencer, that's not illegal. It's only illegal if money exchanges hands and I get it and I don't pay the tax fee, which is $200. So it's not illegal to shop for a silencer. And all of these lies about Schaefer Cox, justice is going to come to every one of these evil bastards. And we're going to keep exposing them. I hope you guys are starting to see this book for what it really is. And it's full of lies. And it's full of debauchery. And it's a gay turd's personal vendetta against a Christian patriot. And I pray that we stand up and make our voices heard so that Schaefer can get out of prison and go back to his family. And I pray justice for all these wicked sons of Belial who deserve to be in prison themselves, and some of them need to be put to death once they're convicted in a court of law. The last line of peaceful defense between a tyrannical government and the defendant is jury nullification. Educate yourself about jury nullification at fija.org.